Hey guys, I'm gonna walk you through how I make my goose jerky. I've got goose breast here. If you don't know how to breast out a goose, I'm sure there's plenty of videos on here that'll show it. Essentially, you just grab under the feathers and peel the skin open, and you'll peel it all the way down, and you'll find a breastbone in the middle, and just kind of work your way on both sides of those, getting the breast out like this. We're gonna stick these in the freezer for about an hour. That way it'll make slicing a lot easier. So I'm gonna put those into a bag, and I'll come back to you once we're ready to slice. I try to make sure that these are in a single layer, that way they freeze a little bit more evenly, that way like one's not on top of the other one. You stick it in the freezer and you get them out, and that one in the middle is still going to be more thawed than the others. Stick the next one in. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Put it on the seal bar. Make sure there's no creases here. Looks good, looks good. That's all that takes. If you don't have a chamber vac, get one. You can vacuum seal wet stuff, you can vacuum seal fish without it having to be pre-frozen or dried. We'll stick those in the freezer and let them firm up a little bit. Alright, we're back. Our meat's firmed up a little bit. It's not completely frozen through. It's just hard enough that it'll go through the slicer and not want to like pull down and mess anything up. I've got two knives here. I've got a boning knife and I've got a slicing knife. For kind of, as I'm going through, there'll be, a good bit that I'm not going to be able to get through the slicer. So I'll use that slicing knife. So I'm going to push this over. We're going to open these up and kind of go through and try to get some of that fat off of there, any sort of silver skin on that side. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the end result is gonna be better if you try to get most of that stuff off. No real easy way to get to this stuff. You just kind of got to take your time and, you know, just get your knife under there and, you know, try not to take out too much meat. Once I'm done with this, I'll come back to you. Alright, we're back. We got most of the silver skin taken off and all the fat taken off. So we're gonna run it through the slicer. I'm not really sure if this is frozen enough, but we'll give it a shot. Don't look too bad. Sometimes it's just easier to do it the old-fashioned way. Yes, you want your slices to be, you know, between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch maybe. Not terribly thin, but you also don't want it to be like in the dehydrator forever, trying to get all the moisture out of it. You also want it to be fairly even too, that way, you know, everything's kind of done at the same time. You're not pulling stuff off and some stuff's not done yet. That kind of goes with any kind of cooking. You want to, whether you're cooking potatoes, you want them to be the same size. If you're doing onions, you want them to be the same size. Basic rules. Okay. Got 2 breasts done. I'm gonna go grab the rest of the breast and we'll start working on those. Alright, we've got all of our meat sliced up. I am going to weigh this out in grams on the scale. We got grams here and it's zeroed out with the bowl on it. So we'll just set it on here. So we've got 1,134 grams. The reason that we need this weighed out is the recipe that we're doing is by percentage. So you don't have to have 5 pounds of meat or 10 pounds of meat. You just figure up how many grams of meat you have and multiply that times a percentage, and that'll give you how much curry you need, how much, you know, all the ingredients we're going to be using, which I'll go through those in a second once I get this cleaned up, and I'll be back to you in a second. Okay, we're back. I've got my recipe here. We'll go through all the ingredients and I can explain some substitutes if you want to do that. So we've got liquid aminos if you need to use soy sauce as an alternative to that. We've got Frank's Red Hot. I think pretty much anybody can get a hold of that. If you don't have that, you can use any sort of cayenne pepper sauce. Got some Worcestershire sauce, fish sauce. We've got some pink curing salt. You can find this like on Amazon or like a butcher supply store. We got garlic powder, onion powder, kosher salt, we got light brown sugar. The recipe calls for dark brown sugar, but I mean, it's not really gonna make a difference. And then water. So the way that we're gonna do this, we've got like a little, it's called like a 0.01 gram scale. Like you've got a 0.1 scale and that measures up to, I think, 11 pounds. And these measure up to, I don't know, like 5 pounds or something. You can find them at Walmart or Amazon. This one, the brand is, I don't know if you can see that, a mirror. But essentially we're going to take our, how much meat we have, which is 1,134, and we're going to multiply that times whatever percentages we have. So we have salt at 2%. We're going to take our phone and put 1134 times 2% equals, so we're going to add 22.68 grams. And we're going to go through the recipe and just do that over and over again. And we'll weigh out our spices. We'll put them in another bowl. I like to I don't like to zero it out and then add the next one, just because, you know, if you mess up then you got to start all over again. So I usually just measure each one and get the end result at the end in this bowl. So I'm going to go through everything here. Zero that out. Here we've got 0.25%. So do 1134 times 0.25% equals 2.83. The pink curing salt here is what is going to make this shelf stable. So if you don't have the pink curing salt, I think you can add like 6% salt by weight, and that also kind of does the same thing, but this has sodium nitrite in it, 6.25%, and that's what's going to fight like your botulism while it's, you know, sitting at that danger zone of 40 to 140 degrees. So I mean, definitely don't use this as table salt. That's why they dye it pink, because it's pretty dangerous. Okay, we're back. We've got all of our ingredients that we weighed out in this big bowl. I'm gonna whisk them up as best I can. Okay. We're gonna take our meat, and I could probably combine these and stir them together. I think I'm just going to put them in a bag and kind of try to consolidate everything that way before we vacuum seal it. You can also do this with just like a Ziploc bag and try to get out all the air. Just try to make sure, you know, all the meat's as close as it can be together, since we're doing this as a brine instead of like a dry cure. Try not to spill it all. That's the real trick. Okay. You can see at the bottom we've still got like some of the seasonings in there. I'm not like terribly worried about it. I think it'll be alright. I'm just gonna kind of squish this around and try to get it stirred together. Okay. Everything sealed up. The vacuum process is also going to help that the marinade kind of get into the meat a little bit better. You want to leave this set for about a day to let that cure get through the meat and all the way through the middle. So we'll be back maybe tomorrow, and we're going to hang these up in a tub and let them dry out overnight, and then the next day we'll put them on the dehydrator. Hey guys, we're back. It's the next day. We're gonna get these hung up and start drying them. The purpose of this, I think, is to get a lot of the moisture out. That way once you start smoking it, if there's any sort of like oily residues from anything, it's not gonna start cooking on the top. But I've had that problem before. So what I've got is a meat lug here, and I've got some welding rod that I just picked up at like a farm supply store, and I've cut that to size to fit on top of my rack and my smoker. So we're going to cut this open and we'll start hanging them up. Over the last 24 hours, I've kind of gone through here a few times throughout the day and just kind of mixed it together. That way I know everything is mixed thoroughly and I didn't miss anything. So essentially you just get your meat and your rod, pierce it through, and try not to get it like in the middle so it's not like flopped over the top. I don't know if you can see that there. We'll just do this over and over again. Alright, we've got everything set up here now and ready to go in the fridge and dry overnight. After that, we'll put them on the smoker and we'll come back to you when we're ready for that. Alrighty, we're back and outside at the smoker. Today is the 15th, so just to recap, on the 13th we made our marinade and got our meat sliced up, and then on the 14th, we put it in this tub and we're drying our meat, and today we're going to put it on the smoker. We're using a Yoder YS640 today. I've got it running at, I've got it set at 160. You can see I've got those rods, and they are just going to sit on these racks right here and over on this side too. Hopefully you can get a better picture of that once I get them put on there. Also try to make sure none of the meat is touching, otherwise it's not going to dry correctly. Okay. You can see we've got all of our meat on. You want to keep kind of rotating this throughout the time that you're cooking it. And as far as how long you go, it's kind of a personal preference, but one rule is that if you bend it and it starts to crack, that's usually when it's about done. You just want it kind of leathery, not real, you don't want it to like be crunchy or anything like that. So we'll be back once we are finished. Alrighty, we're back. We've got it all pretty well finished up. I put it into a Ziploc bag, and that helps the meat kind of relax and not be so chewy. That cracking that I was telling you guys about, it'll kind of look like that once it's done. Like you'll be able to see little white fibers when you bend it. So that's pretty much it. That's jerky done.